Antietam, McClellan has elected to drive hard up the center. He has troops to demonstrate and threaten on either flank. Sumner's Corps is drawn first. They charge across the field. Next is the artillery, and the artillery is all amassed right here. They take to the hilltops. Next is Mansfield's 12th Corps. Maintaining their facing, they move in echelon and threaten the Confederate right. John Porter, the line of Antietam, he has his 5th Corps move forward. Drum and bugle and whatever you can imagine. Hooker's 1st Corps moves forward but stays far enough back to not get pushed back by falling back troops if the assault is less than successful. Longstreet is drawn. He's not going to move, but his artillery will fire on these advancing Yankees. The smoke clears and there was apparently some effect. Burnside's 9th Corps moves forward to threaten the Confederate left. His orders are not to fight, not to contact, but to maintain a worrisome presence. That he does. Now Jackson's drawn. Jackson's artillery opens up on Porter's Corps. And he drives Porter's left flank back. Early morning combat along the sunken road. With grievous losses, Sumner's Corps falls back. The Southern men in the sunken road are bloodied, but they hold. Turn 2, mid-morning. Porter, ever the line of Antietam, drives doggedly forward. Jackson is drawn and seeing the position flanked, pulls his men back. Burnside is drawn. He moves his 9th Corps forward, but he has received no orders to attack with force, so he holds back. Stewart's been drawn and his cavalry is back here, but he sees no reason to react to anything as yet. They wait. Mansfield's 12th Corps holds. Sumner is drawn. He has his men occupy the sunken road. And the rest of his corps moves forward to help get the Confederates out of Sharpsburg and to allow Hooker's corps to drive the wedge in. And Hooker is happy to oblige. And Longstreet's artillery greets him point blank, sending the lead unit back. The Union artillery positions itself. Now I'm moving them rather casually, but they would turn, cross the bridge, turn again. Okay, right there is where they make it this time. This artillery opens up on Longstreet's artillery. No, Longstreet's artillery is hidden behind the woods here. They will spin and fire at the hilltop, pushing back the detachment on the hilltop. Detachments are useful to use for defending from artillery because they can't be destroyed, and so any hits they receive, they just fall back. Artillery cannot eliminate a unit. It's great for softening up a line, breaking up a line. Nice thing about having detachments is they don't have a spent side. They just fall back, and you can move them up, put them there again next turn, and they're ready to go. One of the skills that comes with learning and mastering the pub battle system is what to do with detachments. They're very weak. Eliminated with one hit, they attack with one dive, your classic light troops that aren't very effective, but they get in the way, they're excellent fog of war tools, and they are brilliant screens. Got a couple combats here. In Sumner's Corps, Richardson's exhausted division attacks the fresh Confederate troops outside Sharpsburg. And they are eliminated, but they've started to break down the Southern Army. And John Porter's drive on the artillery position. Now the artillery fires first, and these are 5th Corps' green troops. This is not going to go well. And artillery firing in combat phase, in other words, they're firing their grape at close range. This can eliminate a unit, and I'm suspecting it will. But no, it doesn't. They only got one hit. One hit on green troops counts as 2 hits. 2 hits flips them and drives them back. It's turn 3, and Franklin's 6th Corps will enter this turn. Oh good, more Union. Starting again with the last of Sumner's Corps. He sends his men forward to try again to break the Confederate presence in front of Sharpsburg. Longstreet is drawn. Remember that detachment from last turn? They move back up and occupy the hill. It's like nothing ever happened. He has his spent unit spin and back up McLaw's division. And artillery fires on the Union attackers. The flank bonus. They are driven back. Mansfield's Corps continues to hold its position. Porter's Corps is drawn and he sends them back in, expecting the front line to be lost, but hoping his second line of men will cause some damage. The artillery is drawn. Some of the artillery occupies the hill here, so in the event these units are eliminated and there's a clear line of fire, they'll keep hammering away. These artillery fire on the Confederates in front of Sharpsburg, driving them back into the town. Porter's 9th Corps is still holding. Their orders say to threaten and to only attack if it looks like the South is beginning to reinforce the line with these troops. So as long as these troops hold, Burnside will hold. But as soon as they start moving, off he goes. Hooker's 1st Corps. He sends his troops into Sharpsburg. Franklin's 6th Corps comes in. They come in column and then come out of column, ready to support any success in the center. Stewart is drawn and brings Fitzlee's cavalry around to shore up any holes that develop in the line. And now it's Jackson is drawn. So far his line is held. He holds. His artillery is now in melee, so it cannot bombard in the movement phase. It will fight in the combat phase. Speaking of, here we are. The canister is unleashed. And it reaps a bloody harvest. But now the rest of Fitzjohn Porter's Corps drives in. And it rolls 2 4s, which had normally hit, but the Confederates are on a hill, so the 4s miss. He needed 5s. Still in contact, we go to the second round. With some damage, the artillery holds, and Fitzjohn Porter, the Lion of Antietam, has paid the full price. In Sharpsburg, Jackson's troops fall back, but a heavy price is paid. And now it's midday, turn 4. Not surprisingly, Union casualties have been heavy. The South has done well. A lot of their divisions are spent. They haven't lost any entirely. The North has lost 5 blocks. Another 3, and their army is broken. And Longstreet is drawn. He organizes a defense in Sharpsburg. And his artillery, again, fires on Union troops in front of them, driving them back. Sumner, once again, drives into Sharpsburg. I just realized I forgot to put Pleasanton's cavalry in the battle. So if the North loses, they've got an excuse. This time, all 3 Northern artillery blocks have targets. The first one, firing on the hilltop. The detachment is sent back. The artillery block in the center tries to silence the Confederate artillery, which they do. And lastly, the artillery on the hill fires and the Southern artillery opposite them, without effect. Fitzjohn Porter is drawn, but he has no blocks left in the battle. The Northern cavalry. Now, actually, before you think that that's actually a problem that I forgot to put those on, the Northern cavalry is no match to the Southern cavalry. So if they show their faces anywhere in a threatening position, Stuart's men will probably come out better. So they tend to be kind of hidden in back the whole game anyway. Hooker's men charge. Mansfield's men join the assault. Franklin's Corps crosses the Antietam and prepares to back any success. McClellan rides west to find Burnside and get him into the battle. He finds his men, but he hasn't reached Burnside yet, and still Jackson holds. Midday combat. Mansfield's attack across the Antietam. Now, because they crossed this turn, the first round, they're considered outflanked. Mansfield's men are driven back across the Antietam. The Longstreet will have to reinforce the hill if he wishes to hold it. Hooker's attack in the center. The artillery great fires first. They've been so busy, I think they might be out of ammunition. It has no effect. And finally, in Sharpsburg itself. Sumner's exhausted men are driven out. And now it's early afternoon. The northern attack is beginning to wear Longstreet down. But the North has lost 6 of 8 before it breaks. And Longstreet is drawn first, which allows him to rebuild his line. He unpacks bags. Actually, he can move them to there and unpack them. McLaws can rally. Now the rules that the current rules... Alright, I had a lot of blah 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 here. Basically, current rules say if you enter a town, you become spent and you can't rally until you leave. My new rules simply say you can't rally until you leave. So Longstreet pulls his men out of Sharpsburg so he can reorganize and rally them. His elite unit recovers. Jones moves so he can't recover. The artillery recovers. And this detachment has moved up to the hill. Being drawn first was critical for Longstreet's defense. I don't use the alter turn order rule when playing solitaire. If I'd been playing the Confederate player versus an opponent, I would have rolled to try and get Longstreet to draw first if I hadn't been drawn first to begin with. Pleasanton's cavalry are drawn, and they ride into the center. Franklin is drawn, and his men pass through the opening that Pleasanton's men have created. The point here is to sow panic in the southern lines. And now the artillery. The artillery in the center here pivots and fires uphill, so it'll be at -1 at the artillery there. To no effect. Now the artillery on the right fires. Driving the artillery back, and the artillery runs into the Union troops, it is eliminated. Burnside's 9th Corps. McClellan reaches Burnside and says, "It's time." Under direction, his men attack. They attack hard on the part of the line that is broken, and cover their flank as they attack. Hooker's Corps is drawn. Looky what we have here. Ricketts can contact the bags. Whoops. And that will end the game. There's nothing the South can do to break this contact before the start of the combat phase. At the beginning of the combat phase, this is contacted, it's captured, that ends the game. That was a dramatic game. Let's look where we got here. Union has 6 losses. It can take 8, so it's almost broke. The combat this turn might have broke it. But before this is resolved, at the beginning of the combat phase, this happens. South has lost its artillery and 1 block. But the North has broken through in the center, captured the bags, panic ensues. Wow, that was great. Good game.